Hey guys, welcome to Chefolution. I'm Chef NCP and today I'm going to be showing you through the crispy braised pork belly tacos with apricot pico de gallo and garden pea guacamole. So I'm going to be going through this video today in just a few sections. I'm going to start off focusing on the pork belly, then moving on to our pico de gallo, then over to the stove for the garden pea guacamole. I'm going to cook the peas and then straight back over here to finish off the rest of the dish. Carve up the pork and then on to the serving suggestion. Let's get started. So I'm going to start off with our mirepoix, which is basically the base of our stock. We've got a red onion here. This is a half recipe, guys, so you'll have twice as much. I'm going to prep this onion, bearing in mind that I need to keep half for my pico de gallo. So I'm just going to create a nice dice and everything will be the same size for my mirepoix just because of convenience. So I'm going to reserve half my red onion just into a little pot for now, to one side for my pico, and the rest is going to go into the pot for my mirepoix. Next, onto my garlic. So because I've finely diced just half an onion, I'm going to chop up my garlic. In your recipe, you could just throw that in whole. That's absolutely fine. But I just want everything to be the same size so everything cooks evenly. And into my mirepoix. Thyme, bay, in, trim my celery, and I'm going to just roll around the edges to create small dices. Again, you don't have to do this for your mirepoix because as long as everything's the same size. Same again with my carrot. I'm not too bothered about the skin on the carrot. Just gonna go down the carrot lengthways and then dice. So we're just going to make a nice stock to braise our pork belly with. So with that, I'm going to add my vinegar, a nice pinch of salt and pepper, and cover with boiling water. I'm going to put that over onto the stove top and bring that to a rolling boil and over to my pork belly. So my pork belly is already up to room temperature now, guys. Make sure you get your pork belly out before you start, and then you've got a nice even cook so you have no cold middle. And with a dry cloth, just pat your skin down because I don't want any excess moisture. And with some salt, I'm just going to heavily season my skin, creating a nice crust. This is going to help pull out all that moisture from that skin, creating a nice crispy crackling. Just get that nice and padded on there. You just want to coat every ounce of that skin. Lovely. Just leave to one side. My stock has now come up to a rolling boil. That's helped infuse everything there and also reduce the cooking time so that our water is already boiling. I'm going to strain off our mirepoix, reserving the stock separate from the mirepoix. This is going to help me work out how much water I need to add to our tray, or in my case, casserole dish. Just give that a little shake. I'm going to put that back onto boil. I'll keep my braising liquor hot. We're going to go in. It's a bit hot, guys. You can let it cool if you like. Be careful you don't burn yourself. And I'm just going to evenly pad my mirepoix at the bottom of my casserole dish, or in your case, baking tray. Place my pork belly on top. Make sure you're using a tray big enough for twice this portion, guys, because mine is only a half recipe. So I've brought my braising liquor back up to a rolling boil. I'm just going to pour down the sides. I'm going to move that more in. Really what you need to be doing is getting that braising liquor about halfway up. Cover with parchment paper. And get a nice seal. So we can reserve all that fluid. Once you're happy, we're going to go into the oven at 180 degrees. Make sure your oven's preheated. And I've set a timer for 45 minutes. Plenty of time for the rest of our prep. So first of all, I'm going to start off with our pico de gallo because our onions are already ready. Into a mixing bowl with our red onion. Then with our red pepper, I'm just going to top and tail. I've got a lot of red pepper here, so I don't mind a little bit of wastage. Just roll that round, taking away any pith. That pith is a little bit bitter, especially if it's raw red pepper. I'm going to roll it over skin side up. Or you can go skin side down. That's enough red pepper for now. I'm just going to reserve this for another day. Arrange your pepper batons, or matchsticks rather, and just dice into cubes. And into our mixing bowl. Next, our apricot. Goes extremely well with pork in the summer. I'm going to dice this same way I diced my onion. And again with the other half. Everything's the same size. Next I've got green chili. Just going to take that top off and then in half, and then with a teaspoon just remove the seeds. Here's a fun fact for you guys. The seeds aren't the hottest part of the chili. Is actually the membrane, which is the pith that holds the seeds. So I've removed all of that, so we only have a nice subtle hum, so we don't blow anyone's heads off. Just going to cut that edge off. That'll just make it a little bit easier. And roll it over, skin side down. Create some more matchsticks like the pepper. Chop, fine dices. Into our bowl. Same again. Strips. And then dice. Or brunoise, if you're familiar with your chef terms. There we are. Into the bowl. Next, our tomato. Just going to chop in half, and then quarter, and then remove the seeds. Quarter. So to explain what I'm doing, guys, I'm kind of starting with the tomato quarter at the bottom and using my knife to flatten the flesh towards the board, and then rolling flat again. Trim away any core. Into the bowl. Next, our coriander. Just going to roughly chop this. And again, into our pico. So you'll have a clove of garlic each for the pico and the guacamole. I'm using one, so I'm going to chop this garlic into same shapes. So just half for my pico. Half for my guacamole. The reason I'm using garden peas, guys, is because guacamole doesn't grow in this country. So, you know, I want to be creative and inventive, and I'm proud of our produce. Next, we're on to our lime. So I'm going to zest this lime. If you haven't got a microplane, guys, feel free to use a fine grater. I'm going to take half my lime zest into my guacamole and half into my pico. Just give my lime a little roll. Oh, very cool, the little vessels. Chop in half, and again squeeze half into my pico and half into my guacamole. Just going to finish off the prep ready for the guacamole. Same again with the red chili. Just going to remove those seeds. Same again. Slice. And dice. into our guac. Next with our mint, just going to pick off the leaves because the stalks can be a little bit firm. I'm just going to roughly chop them up. Going to finish off our pico with a nice pinch of salt and pepper and some olive oil. Just give that a stir. Look at those colours, guys, you know this is going to be good. Look at that, guys, beautiful. Just going to keep that in the fridge and move on to our garden peas. So I'm just going to pop these out, take the top off, and pop these out one by one. I've still got some reserved stock water. I'm just going to use that, guys. If you used all of yours, just use some salt and some boiling hot water, and we're going to bring those up to a rolling boil and leave to simmer for about 3 to 4 minutes. So my peas have been on a simmer now for about 1.5 minutes. They're ready. I'm just going to strain those off, reserving the stock. So the pork belly has been in the oven now for about 45 minutes. My peas are blitzed in the blender and added to the rest of the mix. I'm going to add it to the pestle and mortar and pulp into a nice paste. First of all, I just want to take off the tin foil and parchment paper and leave to cool for a few minutes in the braising fluid. I turn mine up to 240 degrees. Once that's up to temperature, I'm going to place the pork belly, once the salt has been scraped, onto a baking tray with a rack, and I'm going to allow that to crisp. We'll have a nice crispy skin. So while that's cooling and my oven coming up to temperature, I'm just going to place my guacamole mix into the pestle and mortar. I'm just going to pulp that. Don't want to blend the colours together too much. I just want the peas to be a lovely smooth consistency. So we've still retained that beautiful British pea green. And there it is, guys, beautiful. Gonna keep that in the fridge with my pico, ready for service. Onto our pork belly, which is now cool enough for me to remove. Just gonna scrape off that crust. That should be lovely and seasoned now, and also perfectly dry, ready to crisp in the oven. And place onto my racked baking tray, which has been in the oven. I'm going to put that back into the oven for 30 minutes on 240 degrees. So from our braising liquor, we're going to remove the bay leaf and any easily accessed thyme stems, and then pour the contents into my blender jug. And blitz for a few pulses. That's now coarsely blitzed. I'm going to pour it into a sieve over my saucepan and just press that through with a ladle in circular motion. I'm not pressing too hard because I don't want a puree in there. I just want every bit of that flavour. Until my mirepoix is turned to a dry paste, a little bit like that. And what we're left with is a nice pork flavoured stock, which we can now reduce. So with our sauce, all I've done is added a small knob of butter and reduced by 3/4. We've got a lovely sauce. This is a half portion, guys. You should have twice as much. So my pork belly has been in the oven now on 240 degrees for about 30 to 40 minutes. All I've done is left it here to rest for about 5 to 10 minutes, and that's going to allow it to chill ever so slightly and relax, making it a lot easier for me to carve. So I'm going to carve, if you've got twice as much, you might have twice as much this way, could be that way. Just slice it into this size. Once you have this size, oh God, listen to that crackling, guys, you know that's going to be good. Once you've got your pork belly to this size, slice or carve down the middle. Beautiful. And take each piece and carve square slices. Put it skin side down if you're struggling. Mine's still extremely hot, so you might want to make sure that you leave it to rest for the full 10 minutes. You should have beautiful squares of pork belly with a crispy crackling. Just place that into my bowl. Same again, skin side down. Just let the knife do the work. Don't squash your pork belly. Let the knife glide through the meat, and when you reach that crispy skin, just apply a bit of pressure. A little bit for me. We'll just place that in the bowl. Onto the serving suggestion, guys. So behind me I've got a lightly oiled frying pan on my stovetop, just heating away. I'm going to take some of my sauce, just half a teaspoon on each. I'm just going to glaze that around, a little bit like a pizza base. Just going to season my tortillas. Just work it from the middle out to the edges. Try and reserve some of the sauce, guys. I'm going to heat each one on one side. Once you have a nice colour, just bring that over. That's going to be my first one. Next, I'm going to go in with a little bit of our pico, my guacamole, and finish. Let's just check on our taco. Perfect. Nice and golden on one side, in with the other. and finish with our beautiful crispy belly. About 5 chunks each should do the trick. There we are, that's all 3 done. So we have our lovely taco. Just finish off with a little drizzle of our pork sauce. Just little drops and place off center on our plate. And on to the next one and repeat. Pico. Guac. And beautiful crispy belly. Place beside. And the last one. Back over. Just finished that with a little garnish of black pepper. And there it is, guys. Absolutely phenomenal British tacos. And there it is, guys, Chef Lucian's crispy braised pork belly tacos with apricot pico de gallo and garden pea guacamole. Yes, chef.